Good morning. I am in my husband's gym today because it is 5:15 a.m. and I gotta go. So I wanted to share why we named our place Rich Soul Ranch. So as you know, we have the goats. We're trying to find our herd name. And I pray about everything because when we were young, we'd lose something. And we'd be searching, and our whole family would be searching for whatever it was. And then finally, I remember we would pray about it. Lord, please help us find the keys, and then we would go and we'd find the keys. And that's just how I remember it in my mind. And finally, my brother one day said, why don't we just pray first? And he was little, and I remember that. I still remember that. And I always thought, why don't we pray first about every decision we make? So Rich Soil Ranch came to me after I prayed about it. And the whole premise is from Matthew 13. And it's about the sower. And it talks about, he threw seeds all around. Some landed in some rocky soil. I'm going to encourage you to read it. But some of the seed landed in good soil. And it sprouted up, it grew, and they got a harvest, 30, 60 fold or something. So the whole goal is to create rich soil in our lives so that we can be the rich soil. So when God plants his seeds in us, they will grow and we will produce a crop. So I was really nervous to kind of make these videos, but that is one reason. I don't know if God was telling me, if this was just me and my own crazy brain, but I thought it was a way that I could share. And finally, the other evening, I woke up at 2 something in the morning. I couldn't go to sleep. And I feel like that is sometimes when God can talk to me because there's no distractions and I'm just listening because I can't go to sleep. And I felt like he was encouraging me, hey, you said you were going to make these videos and you're not. So last night, before I went to bed, I saw this video and I think it was Freedom with JP. I don't know. I'll click the link, but it said Got God. And I'm like, okay, this guy is kind of crazy. I don't really watch him, but my brother really likes him. So I watched his videos and he's really hilarious, but sometimes a little bit crude. But I mean, I kind of agree with a lot of what he's saying, but like I said, he does it in a bit of a crude way. But I watched this video called Got God, and I was just like, oh my word, I can't believe that, what he's saying is just amazing and true. And so I'm like, okay, I was raised a Christian. I grew up a Christian. I've been taught about God all my life, and I believe what I've been taught. And one thing my dad always really stressed about was having a personal relationship with God. And I think both of my parents really instilled just having faith. And the 4 things that JP said was faith. I can't remember the exact order, but faith, prayer, listen to God, and service. And I have found all those things to be true in my own life. And so I just want to share some stories. I want this to be a faith building Fridays. So I'm hoping to post these videos on Friday. So I was really hoping to do it this Friday, which is today. And I got about 10 minutes before I have to leave. So it was hard to find what story to say, but I think what I'll share with you is kind of my first encounter with what I believe to be angels, and kind of just started my faith building process. So I was probably about 10 years old, and my family was going to go visit my aunt. She lived in Seattle, Washington, and it was Christmas time, so of course it was wintry, and we normally do not travel in the winter, but for whatever reason, we decided to hop in our tiny little, I think it was a Subaru. I don't know if at that time the windows were taped. I'm guessing not, because, but the horn sounded like a goose dying. And it was not on all-wheel drive. It was definitely a two-wheel drive. But we were in that little car. Maybe it was a Mazda. I think it was a Mazda. Anyways, we were cramped in the, five of us, kids cramped in the back. And we were driving along, and the roads were covered with snow. And we're driving along, and a truck passes by us. And when the truck passes by us, it just blew up this flurry of snow, and we could not see at all. It was just like this flurry of snow, and my dad was, you know, wiping the windshield with the wipers, and he tapped on the brakes. He knows what was going to happen if he pushed on the brakes in the snow, but he was like, I cannot see. There are bridges with railings, there's curves, and it was a long time before we could get our sight back. So he tapped on the brakes, and when he just barely taps on the brakes, our car just starts spinning out. And me, as a 10-year-old child, I was scared. And the crazy thing is that I just started saying, oh, Jesus. Like, that was my prayer. Like, oh, Jesus, oh, Jesus, oh, Jesus. I totally thought I was praying in my head. Finally, when we stopped, kerplop in the bank, I was like, we're alive. My sister starts crying. My brother's just he looks dazed and confused. And my mom's like, Crystal, why are you crying now? Like, we're fine. And she says, well, Nikki, you did the right thing. And I'm like, what? What did I do? She's like, well, you were praying. And so, yeah, so then we prayed again. And cars, I mean, like, it was so slippery. The roads were so slippery. And I remember a couple cars stopped, and they were kind of slipping and sliding. And people were we could not get out. We were so stuck. And all of a sudden, this semi comes and just stops on a dime. And I thought there were 3 men, but my dad says there were 2. And these 2 big guys in like white t-shirts, and they looked to be kind of Arabic. I don't really quite remember because I was young and I wasn't really paying attention too much. But what I do remember is they just went over there and basically picked up the car, put it back on the road. They didn't really say much at all. And then we drove on. And my dad was like, you guys, I think those were angels. And we were like, what? Because of course, as a 10-year-old kid, you're like, no way. So we drive on to Ellensburg, and everyone was stopped at Ellensburg because the pass was closed. And Ellensburg is not a big place, and everyone was going to the one gas station. We saw all the vehicles that passed us, all the vehicles that were trying to help us. But my dad was looking for that semi, and he could not find that semi. And he was like, you guys, I can't find the semi, you know, it was angels. And so, granted, if you say there were angels or not, I believed, and I believe they were angels that stopped and helped us and answered our prayer, but in my mind, it was my prayer. So that stuck with me and kind of started me on my journey of faith. Like, God is real, and he listens. And I'm sorry I get a little teary-eyed, but I don't have time to do this again, so we're just going to go forward. So I just want to encourage you all that, you know, there is a God, and he loves you, and he wants to be involved in your life. And you are his child, whether you believe it or not, but you can choose to take another path. So I would encourage you to, you know, believe in the God that loves you and wants you, and not to believe in, you know, Satan, who only wants to steal, kill, and destroy. So thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful day. Ciao, ciao. So I have lots of stories to share, and I read tons of stories of faith and stuff. But if you have a story that you want to share, I'm going to go old school and I'm going to ask you to write me a letter, because if you send me an email or something like that, I probably won't get it because it'll go to my junk mail, or I've got to filter through all these emails. So I'm going to put my email or my mailing address in the description below. So again, thank you for watching. Ciao, ciao.